Tinseth, Vice President Marketing for Boeing Commercial Airplanes. Thank you very much for speaking to us at UBMA Aviation News. The 787 has just left Farnborough and is doing some more flight testing. How has the flight testing been going so far?
Well, first, it's been an absolute pleasure to bring the 787 here to Farnborough for its first international trip, to allow the world to see what a great airplane I think we're building at Boeing. In terms of the flight test program, the airplane has been performing very well. We have well over 1,000 hours already accumulated in the flight test program. We have 5 airplanes flying. We'll be adding our 6th airplane to the flight test program next month. I will tell you though, we have had some issues. We've had some issues with the quality of the build of the airplane. We've had to correct those issues. We've had some issues around the instrumentation that we're using for the flight testing. As a result, we've seen our margin that we built into the flight test program shrink over the last few weeks. Now the airplane, the plan is to have the airplane certified and delivered by the end of the year, but because of these additional risk items, I think there might be a possibility the airplane could slide that first delivery into early 2011.
What are the main lessons from the flight testing so far, and how will those impact on the further flight test?
Well, first of all, as I said, the airplane itself is performing magnificently. It is meeting all of its expectations in terms of performance in the flight testing process. The lessons we've learned is that it has been a bit of a challenge to change over our instrumentation as we go into layup periods, as we are changing the testing process. So we have to figure out a way to make those changes faster so we can build some more margin into our program.
Building is a good keyword. What is Boeing doing to ensure a smooth ramp-up of the production?
Well, first and foremost, when we built our plan, ultimately we're expecting to build as many as 10 airplanes a month in our plan to begin with. So we ensured that our supply base was there, our production facilities were in place and in line to meet that ramp-up. Today we're building about 2 787s per month. That rate will slightly increase next month, and our goal is, our plan is, by the end of 2013 to be building 10 787s a month. It's quite a challenge, but we're working very hard on it. We have a very good plan. We're monitoring our plan. We're working with our suppliers, and I think that's something we'll definitely be able to achieve.
You mentioned already the build issue with the horizontal stabilizer. What impact will that have on the production? Will that change some parts of the production?
No, what we found out, it was a process plan, not a build plan, so it wasn't an issue with the quality of the materials. It was more about the process of assembling the horizontal stabilizer. That has been fixed. We're working on the root cause of the problem so it doesn't happen again, but that has influenced our margin just a little bit, and that's why we've been a little bit more cautious as we look at the flight test program going forward in our schedule.
Staying with flight testing, you have another aircraft in flight testing at the moment, the 747-8. How is that going, that program, the flight testing program?
Well, I would say again, the airplane has been performing well, but like the 787, we've had some challenges. We've had some challenges around the aircraft in just general. The airplane actually got started later than we anticipated. We'd hoped to fly the airplane in very early 2010. It ended up making its first flight in February of 2010, so we lost some schedule there. But like the 787, our plan is to certify and deliver the airplane later this year. But again, there are some challenges. That schedule is a bit at risk, and it may slide into 2011.
Can you elaborate a bit more on those challenges?
Well, first and foremost, it was just hard to get the airplane up in the air, and I think that was the biggest challenge that we've had to date. We had some issues in terms of what I would call buffeting of the landing gear doors. There's been a few other issues, but essentially we're trying to work through those. We have a plan to work through the buffeting issue. I think that's been solved. But again, it's things that we've encountered in past flight test programs. Things do come up, and we're just working through each issue as it comes through.
And what is your outlook on the passenger version, on the Intercontinental? Do you see any more sales on the horizon, and where do you see the future of that aircraft? Yes.
Well, the Intercontinental is actually now in production. We're starting building the first airplane. The total design is about 97% complete, so we have a few details left to do, but the airplane is starting its major buildup of the largest parts. The plan for that aircraft is to certify it next year, 2011, and to deliver for our first customer, Lufthansa, by the end of the year. In terms of the possibilities for the airplane, or I should say the market for the aircraft, long term we see a demand for about 720 big airplanes over the next 20-year period. That doesn't sound like a lot of airplanes, but when you think about it, it's about a $220 billion market, so that's why we're bringing the 747-8 to the market. Essentially, it's a market for replacement, to replace the many 747s that are flying today. So over the last few years, the market has been slow. It's been slow for us, especially on the Intercontinental. It's been slow for our competitor with the A380, but we expect as the market continues to come back, as those airplanes need to be retired and replaced, that we'll see an increase in demand for the airplane. Now, we had a big sale towards the end of last year in Korean Airlines. That's the second airline now that is committed to this airplane, so we've got some momentum. The market's starting to turn, so we have confidence in the long-term future of that aircraft.